All right, well, Merry Christmas, everybody. This is the PrepperCon Radio Hour. This is Scott Stallings, your host, with Shane Coles. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Hello, it's me.
And we've got a special in guest studio. We have Ben Hansen.
Good morning, everybody.
How you doing, buddy?
You guys have all this white stuff on the ground.
I know you don't like that, do you? You don't like it very much.
Now, Ben is from well, he's not from California. You're from here. You're a local, but you're living in California now. What are you doing out there?
Yeah, we don't miss the white stuff. No, it's good to have it for Christmas, but coming home and visiting the family, you got to be. I shoveled, I think, a whole hour yesterday, and then wake up and there's already more, and so blah blah blah.
How's your back?
It's awful. It's awful. You know, I'm in Huntington Beach, California. We get about 60-degree weather there with my wife, and come home for Christmas, and about every other month for PrepperCon and things like that.
But you've got that nice thick coat.
Yeah. Actually,
it's like a North Pole expedition down coat, right?
We should say. And then while we're going to Periscope, for those of you who are on Periscope, and check this out, because this thing, I actually bought it in Iceland.
Oh, really? Wow.
I was filming a TV show there.
I think it does have the Icelandic flag on it.
It's got like 7 geese inside of here.
I
do love down.
Well, actually, we're actually going to be focusing on that next weekend. On our show next week, we're going to have Jeff Kirkham. He's a straight-up survival guy, former military, Green Beret, and we're talking cold weather survival gear, just the cool stuff. So, if you're on Periscope, how do we see what you're doing?
Well, we'll get on here in a second, but for those of you who have Periscope, it'll be on my Twitter, and I'll give you my handle out here so you can tune in and watch us.
And when you said Periscope, I had no idea what you're talking about.
You don't? Are you guys serious?
I'm low tech. I'm low tech, low high tech, whatever you want to call it.
Well,
Periscope's one of those other silly social media crazes.
Right. Put it this way: if you get on there, okay, you're going to go to Periscope. It's an app you download on your phone. Okay, you're going to kind of peruse it, look it over, and you're going to see a lot of teenagers. So it is geared and marketed towards a. However, there are some big companies will do concerts. They'll do. It's basically live streaming. And you can read the comments from everybody who's watching. So
that's pretty cool.
It'll be a streaming
for
comment.
A day, and then it's gone.
Oh, it's gone.
For 24 hours, and then if you messed up or did something that was dumb, it's gone. It's erased from history.
Lame. All right. So we got to announce where we are, what we're doing here. So you are listening to AM 630. This is K-Talk Radio. Listening January 1st, we're swapping things over. It's going to be rebranding K-Talk Media. Website will be ktalkmedia.com in January.
Okay to start telling people?
I don't care.
No, okay.
I'm okay. I'll tell people whatever I want to tell people. I could be wrong, I could be right. But I'm excited because it's going to simplify everything. We're going to be launching a new website, which I'm geeking out about. Our current website, if you've seen it, it's hobbling along. It has no clue what things like Periscope would be. It is that old. It's a bare bones website. It's going to be completely redone. It's going to be beautiful. We want more engagement. We want more callers. We want more participation online. I mean, our streaming component's going to be cleaner. If you're listening from far away, get on our app. It is so awesome, and it's crystal clear.
Especially guys in Utah County, if you're driving along I-15, app's much better.
Or international. I mean, we've got listeners all over the world, so we're pretty lucky that way. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to talk, it's Christmas week, 2 days. If you don't have your shopping done yet, you're a guy. Basically.
Well, I'm almost done. I just need a few more stocking stuffers.
All those 11th hour shoppers, we're going to give you some hints today. So if you've got a prepper in your life, hopefully you do, or many, we're going to talk some last minute prepper gifts, mostly stocking stuffers.
Yep.
These are the things that you would call your everyday carry, or EDC.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to have some fun with this. We've got a lot of things we can do. And we just got some feedback from one of our listeners that they can't hear Ben very well, so we need to have Ben move closer to his mic when he talks.
Sure. I wasn't talking, that's why.
Well, no, when you were talking, they couldn't hear you. So We're going to talk about some fun stuff you can carry with you, some fun stuff that you can put in people's little gift baskets or stockings, if you will.
We want to do a little caveat saying that, it's not us that puts things, it's Santa who puts stuff in the stockings, right? This is just an idea for Santa, right? What he could put in our stockings or
not everybody,
or stocking size.
Not everybody just puts these in your stockings. These could be little gifts for other people as well. So yes, Santa could be bringing you prepper stuff. In my life, that would be ideal. All right, so
All right, start us up.
My first one, obviously, flashlight.
Okay,
You can never go wrong with flashlight, unless it's a cheap, crappy piece of garbage.
agreed.
Shane is the king of flashlights, so I want to get Shane's opinion.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
What flashlight do you recommend we get
Well,
people?
It depends on your price. Typically, for me, a stocking stuffer, fairly inexpensive, but on a flashlight, you really can't cheap out. I mean, sure, you could go to get these little cheap Coast brand, like at Home Depot, and those are okay, $5 or $10. But my recommendation for a flashlight for stocking stuffer costs about $25, $30, and there's a couple different brands that I really like. And I'm talking too fast, aren't I? I get
Always.
that. I always get that. I'm talking too fast. Anyway, so I'll try and slow down a little bit. The ones I have with me here, the brand I really like best is called Phoenix. It's with a fee, with an F.
Because the fee is a real letter.
That's right. It's with an F, F-E-N-A-X, Phoenix. And this one is just a single AA. I also have a single AAA, depending on what you like best. I like AA's because they're very common. And the reason I like a single AA is batteries don't last forever. If you're scrounging and you can find a single battery, then you're good. If you need to find 2 batteries, then maybe not so good. And what I also have in this flashlight is a lithium AA. The reason I have a lithium AA in here is because they don't leak. They essentially last for decades and don't lose their power like a traditional alkaline will. An alkaline could leak, damage your electronics, especially with LEDs. They are controlled by pretty complex, well, I guess fairly complex electronics.
Too technical. Okay, let's move on.
Oh, give me a break. I'm trying to
How many lumens does it put out? Tell me that.
This one is 100 lumens.
100? That's
100
not
lumens.
right, to be honest.
For a single AA or single AAA, that's pretty bright.
Okay.
But I do recommend, absolutely, if you want to spend a little bit more, I can
Pull
out the
show us your light.
the O-Light. This one's 200 lumens.
Okay.
And it's a CR123, another lithium battery. So if you have a flashlight that's not being used an awful lot,
Basically, it's about 2.5 inches and
This is
about
rechargeable.
3/4 inches in diameter.
this is my EDC light.
Okay, that's
And
good.
this is about
That's
200
good.
lumens.
It doesn't take up much room, but
Exactly.
I would just add my 2 cents here. I love Surefire.
Get a little closer to the mic, Ben.
How's this?
That's
Hello,
good.
everybody.
There we go.
Okay. I love Surefire, and
They're expensive.
they are. But what I'm going to say is that there are so many good LEDs out there now that you don't have to go on these brand names, and you've got lights that will put out 2,000 lumens.
Yep.
I mean, just overpowering, blinding. It lasts you a couple hours. So.
And I guess it depends on really what you want to use it for. For me, for a tactical light, 200 lumens is plenty.
See, I'm more along the lines of 100 lumens is plenty. Pretty much everything I need. If it's
Really?
a power situation, power's out, what am I going to do?
Maybe to put your key in your door lock.
See, well, do you have decent night vision?
Do
I'm
I
not
have
talking about
decent-
technology. I'm talking about your eyes. Like, how do your eyes work at night?
They're all right.
See, I've got pretty dang good eyes at night, so I don't need much.
And when I'm hiking, no flashlight whatsoever. Hike by the stars, hike by the moon. So in that kind of situation, you need more lumens. I have a 900 lumen, larger, Phoenix flashlight that I use for outdoors.
Okay.
For what you're in.
So let's stay indoors. Let's say the disaster related scenarios, right?
Yeah, you don't need much light.
I would
I'm
much
thinking
rather
tactical.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
Tactical,
you guys are.
200 lumens.
Let's get real. You guys are all tacticaled out. Hey, this is cool. Let's go buy these 1,000 lumen lights. Do you really need that if you're stuck at home for a few days? No.
They do.
What else can we use? That's
what
why my next item
the
is
reason-
a lantern, a small lantern. Whether it's battery powered or propane, they're great. But I love the little solar rechargeable battery powered lanterns. They pop up and they collapse.
For in-home use.
That's perfect for in-home
For reading
use.
by
You got about
food.
150 to 200 lumens out of those things. They're not powerful. You don't need a lot, and you're just trying to get by. So you don't want to go through your AA battery in an hour with 1,000
fair
lumens.
enough.
No,
So I'm
absolutely.
gonna argue you guys all day long.
I'm going to step back as well as say some of these lights have a very low setting, like a half a lumen or 5 lumens.
So as
Extends your battery life and lets you do just the minimal tasks.
all right, there you go. So for those that are listening to the banter this morning, thank you. If you have comments on this, call in. We'd love to hear your opinion as well. I'm gonna always go for the practical side. These guys are obviously going for the tactical.
No, I'm very practical.
No, it doesn't
I'm
sound
very
like
practical.
Doesn't sound like it. We're gonna have some fun with this today. So other solutions, obviously, like for example, the lantern that I carry is a hybrid light, which is great because it'll hold its charge for 7 years.
Right.
Charge it up, it'll charge off any light that you can find.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's the sun,
Stick in storage is still
you know,
really good.
stick in storage is great. Plus, I can recharge my phone off of it if I need to. It's got a little
that's cool.
micro USB port. So that's my favorite.
And you know, our survival guy Dan, that was one of his important aspects, to be able to charge your cell phone out in the field.
Absolutely. All right,
Okay, do I get a turn?
go for it. It's your turn.
Okay, my next perfect stocking stuffer is actually my Christmas present to you, Scott.
Oh crap! Now I feel like a jerk because I didn't get anything
Oh.
for you.
So what this is, let me describe this a little bit. It is a little stainless steel cylinder.
He actually showed me this last week. It's pretty
Yeah,
sweet.
I didn't want to show him, but he forced me.
Wait, I know what it is.
It's a little stainless steel cylinder about the diameter of my pinky, about an inch long, slightly an inch and a quarter, and you actually unscrew the top of it, and what's inside is what's
Cyanide.
similar to a Zippo lighter.
I'm gonna hand this to Ben so he can check it out.
Okay.
So what it is, it's called a Maritac lighter. It's very small, and you fill it up with fuel just like you would a Zippo, with that lighter fluid. The insert slides out, you fill it up just like a Zippo, but it has a lid that has a gasket, a seal, so that fluid doesn't evaporate.
yeah.
If you have a Zippo, or and I don't mean to pick on Zippo, I like Zippos, I have them, but it evaporates out of a non-sealed lighter. This one, it won't.
I saw these on Survival Life's website, right?
They have something similar. They call it like a blast match. No, not a blast match. They call it.
Everstrike.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, there you
Yeah.
go.
So
Everstrike match.
what that is, it's a
Essentially
match
something.
system. This is a hand striker. The other one you have to actually punch it against.
I wonder if you could bring this on a plane though, because I'm looking
I
at
don't
it,
know.
and it looked when you pulled it out, it looked like some sort of little capsule for cyanide. Like if you got
Right,
a
right.
situation, like,
Well,
I'm not telling you
it
anything.
looks like a
and then
little
you can take this
medicine
out.
capsule.
We'll
Like
post some
you
pictures
can-
for those of you guys
Yeah.
that are listening. We'll post some pictures on our Facebook feed here in a minute
Merry Christmas.
with these fun little gadgets and gizmos. The cool thing is no matter what you're doing, whatever you're getting, like just get something. I've got 3 different Bic lighters in my car at all times.
Yep.
You know, you always have more than you need, simply because you don't know when you're going to need it,
Well, then there's
and you never know if someone's going to borrow it and it'll be gone.
2 is 1, 1 is none. And in a minimalist situation, that's not necessarily the case. But yeah, you need, and that's why I have so many flashlights too. I have single A, double A, single A. What am I talking? Double A, triple A, quadruple
Playing
A,
baseball?
You say, yeah, don't you bring baseball here?
and then rechargeable ones, so that I can hand one off to a friend.
I bet you
That
there
doesn't
was. There
have
used to be a single A.
There might, I don't know.
There
I'm
had to
gonna
have
I'm
been.
gonna have to look that up.
There had to have been something. I mean,
Yeah,
why,
where did it come from? Where
Well,
did the
why
A
did it just jump?
The whole thing with batteries too is you got to think like although the C123s and those are the ones that look like little cans, even though those do last, a lot of the stuff I use them for, like night vision, they'll last for 40 hours, which is great. But how are you going to be able to get those? You know, when there's a shortage
Yeah,
supply,
absolutely.
and then so your double A's are going to be more prevalent. And
I
double.
completely agree. I have only a few of the CR123 flashlights. Well, this one is a rechargeable one. I supposedly get 1,000 charges out of this thing. But yeah, absolutely. Double A's, triple A's. I like double A's best. They're the most common, so most of my
Cool.
flashlights are double A's.
So what do you got next?
Okay, your turn, Scott.
All right, I'm jumping to my personal favorite carry item. It's pocket knives.
Absolutely. We
When
got
I
the same
was-
things on the list here.
When I was about 9 years old, my grandpa gave me a pocket knife for Christmas. And it was a Swiss Army knife. And it had all the cool little things in it. I mean, it had toothpicks. It had everything. Oh man, we're running into a break. We're going to talk about knives for a little bit when we get back. We're talking about stocking stuffers. We're having fun. We're on AM 630 K Talk Radio. Hang tight. We'll be back in about 2 minutes. Alrighty, we are back. We're still talking fun prepper gifts, stocking stuffers, and what have you. We have Ben Hansen in the house. All the time, you've always got Shane and I.
Yep.
Good morning to you all.
Piping through the airwaves, craziness for all you fun listeners. We just posted on Facebook a couple of different items that we've talked about. We're doing pictures so you can see what we're talking about. But we want to jump into knives. We just started talking about it. I told about a story about my grandpa. He gave me my first pocket knife gift. Man, I lost the toothpick, I lost the tweezers like within a month,
You can get more.
you know, and you can always get more. But I tell you, that knife got me through Cub Scouts, got me through
Yep.
most of Boy Scouts. But knives, you can never go wrong.
Absolutely.
The more knives you have, the better. Because
just like flashlights.
Well, you
It's
guys
just
are
like
actually
flashlights.
pretty lucky here in California, or California, in Utah,
Yeah.
because in California where I live, we're very restricted to the type of knife. So those
And
noises you guys
guns,
hear
yeah.
of the table, you know, they're moving knives. They got like 3 or 4 knives out here moving around, and I can see some of these already are illegal in California.
You need to get out, man. I'm sorry. just leave.
I'm trying to change the republic from within.
hey, you know what? We got to call it. Let's see if we can take this call. Hey, you're on air with K-Talk. What's your name?
Harvey,
Harvey, hey, welcome to the show. What do you got for us today?
hey, I was talking to Josh earlier, and then,
Yeah, I was listening. Your words inspired me.
what?
I think your
Hey.
reception is really kind of bad there. Are you in a good area?
We're definitely losing you. Let's have you call back in on a different phone line. That way we can get a better connection, all right?
All right, so knives. So since you started this off, or Scott, why don't you tell us what your choice is for your stocking stuffer knife?
All right, so my favorite knife is a Kershaw. Actually, I have 2 knives that I think are pretty awesome. Kershaw and Cold Steel.
Now, are you thinking about price when you're talking about stocking stuffers on knives?
Well, this is a $35 knife.
Okay, cool.
The Cold Steel knife that I'm referring to is about $40.
Okay.
Anything more than that, I mean, you can go crazy with knives. You can do a ton of different things. But I think the fun thing is finding out what the person that you're buying for, what their style is. I mean,
What they
I
use
don't
it
like
for.
multi-tools so much, like
Mhm.
pliers and all that stuff. I really don't need them. But I use a screwdriver all the time. So my Kershaw has 4 different screwdriver heads and a screwdriver shaft.
Mhm.
So I can,
That's cool.
you know, I'm a realtor, so a lot of times I'm fixing doors,
Right. Got those
rehanging the door
doorknobs.
so it doesn't close on itself. Doorknobs, all those types of things. That's what I use more than anything. But I've also cleaned a rabbit with this knife. You know, I've processed a rabbit and a chicken with this knife. It's nice and sharp, clean. I love it. But you can never really go wrong. You know, the big thing is making sure you're compliant with the local laws and wherever you're traveling. You know, I can't take this knife to California. It's a 1/4 inch too long.
Well, it's not necessarily the. Let me see it for a second. Thank you. It's not necessarily the length of the knife that some of these states have problems with. It's the way that it opens. So if you look here,
open it
yours is not a
one-handed.
pendulum assist, is it? It has to have a bias to stay closed, is what the law says. So actually, this one would probably be
That's
okay.
ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's just
Well,
ridiculous.
hey, look, this is the same mentality that people think that guns are gonna, wake up in the middle of the night and
Right,
go
shoot
shoot by
somebody.
themselves. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
so your knife has to stay shut by itself.
Oh, we got another caller. Let's see who we got this time. Hey, you're on air with K-Talk.
Hey, sorry about the connection. I don't know what happened. I have AT&T.
That
Hey.
sounds much better.
We're much better this time. So you were telling us you had a story?
Yeah, real quick, it's a Christmas story. It's a good one, too. Well, it is. It's, well, in my own mind. Anyways, I was talking to Josh earlier that remind me of Christmas. You know, coming home from Christmas. Wow, Chris Ria. Man, he does the best Christmas song of all time. Anyways, so I got a Mr. Machine in 1960, I think. And I was like 6 years old or something.
All right.
And then somebody stole it.
Mm-hmm.
Stole your machine?
Yeah, Mr. Machine by Mattel.
Mr.
Oh,
Machine.
Mr. Machine.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
So whatever happened to it? Did you figure it out?
yeah, my mom called and she goes, "Oh, I stole it."
Oh, man. So did she give it back to you, or did you just never see it again?
No, she bought us presents.
Interesting. So Mr. Machine was stolen by your mother, and then
Yeah,
you got
Dad, take him back to the store because he didn't have the money.
Oh, wow.
Oh man. Well, hopefully we can get some good ideas.
She was with that deal her whole life.
Oh, Harvey, let's take you off air and we'll chat with you a little bit later here.
Thanks for your call.
Thanks for your call.
That is really sad. What is it,
Yep.
Mr. Machine?
Mr. Machine, Harvey brings up a good point. Sometimes Christmas around this time of year, you may not be able to provide everything you want to provide for your family. Some of the ideas that we have today are relatively cheap. But the other thing is Christmas is a great time to take care of other people. That's one of the things that I love about being a prepper and about preppers. They're always there to help. Now that's why we get extra stuff, so that we can be of use for our families and for our communities. And this brings up the point that, now's a great time to do Sub for Santa, or to find someone that has a need that you can help fill. We want everyone to be good and charitable all the time, and I want to thank Harvey for that point. It's sad to hear of tough times for anybody. I've been through them. A lot of people I know have been through them. You might be listening right now and struggling through that. Just know that this season isn't just about gifts. It's about giving time. It's about giving friendship.
It's about memories.
It's about memories. So take some time with your family this week. Give everybody a hug. Whether you've got great stocking stuffers or whether you have a lot of presents under the tree, or maybe you don't even have a tree, focus on how you can help somebody this season.
And Harvey's call reminded me of when I was young, one of my first gifts that I remember very well was a Swiss Army knife. The Victorinox Swiss Army knife, the Camper, I think it was, and I remember I cut myself with it. Mom
Right away?
Right away. Right away. And that's one thing I told my son is when we were camping earlier this year, says, "You're going to cut yourself with it." I said, "No, I won't." "Yes, you will. I'll be careful. I'll be careful. You'll cut yourself." And sure enough, he did. But he learned that lesson. And I think that's really part of the memory that's like for Harvey is so near and dear to him. And I'm sure if we would have let him go on with his story, he would have expounded on why he's so emotional about that. But and that's another thing for me, the tradition of passing along some of these gifts to my son and to my family is really what Christmas is about. That's why we're talking knives. The Swiss Army knife for me is, I've had one since I was a kid. I had one all through high school. I carried it on my mission. And I think that's, our emotions are tied to some of these gifts that are given from dear gifts for our family for decades and decades. And I think that's what I like to pass along today, is that it can be an heirloom.
Oh yeah, my grandpa, he still carries his same penknife in his pocket that he's had for years. It's an old timer.
Old timer, I was going to say.
And he's had that since I was, I don't know, he probably had that before I was even born. That thing's at least 38 years old, if not older.
Yeah.
But always it's in his pocket, and he's always cleaning his fingernails with it.
Yeah.
That's his.
I do the same thing.
Number one
I
use for
must
that
be
knife.
getting old.
But
yeah.
It's funny because these are what seemingly seem insignificant can be the gifts that last forever and that someone cherishes for a long time. I mean,
Who remembers them forever?
one of my favorite Christmas gifts of all time was a chessboard that my dad made for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have chess pieces for it because
You forgot to make those, or
well, no, it's
lost
a whole
them.
other beast. He never made those. He made the board, and I had a chess set. And he's like, one day we'll make all the chess pieces for it. And we haven't gotten to that.
That's cool.
So that'll be a fun, hey, let's go out in the shop and make some chess pieces someday. But the hours of play that we've had on that chessboard, that's a great prepper toy
That's
because
true.
it's a game of strategy. It gets you to think, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was great, and it still is great. I just need to find a good place in my house to put it so that it gets more action than it used, because right now it's just my wife and I. It's like, invite the whole family over, let's go play chess.
You know what's cool is because I've talked to both of you guys and our families, and I think this is something common that we share. If you are interested in prepping and preparation, it is the perfect gift because you get older, you get to the stage where you don't have a long list of tech things maybe that you want or whatever. You're like, well, I don't even know what to tell you for Christmas. But for preparation stuff, there's always something to add to that.
Oh, absolutely.
Always.
That's all my list is there's more prepping stuff because it's something that you feel makes you feel accomplished and it feels useful,
Yeah.
and not going to, just sit in a box.
And when you give it to someone else, and who maybe isn't a prepper, it makes them, wake up a little bit and think about it.
It's funny. We talked about this a few weeks back. We went to Bear Lake, and on the way out there, we saw a car wreck. And first thing was like, oh, I got this. I started pulling stuff out of my bag, ponchos because it was raining, Mylar blankets because it was cold. I'm like handing stuff out like I don't know, like I'm
You're happy
the
to
popcorn
use it.
guy at a baseball game. I'm just like, here, let's get everybody taken care
And
of.
isn't it weird that when you're the only person that has what is required, you're the only one.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone to so many events. I went up to a scout camp, up in Kolob that I was helping run, and a couple hundred people, a couple hundred vehicles. I just happened to bring along with me a Slim Jim set. Okay,
yeah.
because when I was a kid, a little diversion here. When a kid up at the University of Utah, I opened many a door for a stranded young woman.
Yes.
Who locked her keys in her car, and it got me a few dates, and I became very skilled with opening car doors. So anyways,
Slim Jim, for those that don't know the terminology, it's simply a lockpick device for cars that slides. Most of them slide between the window and the lock.
Glass in
The glass on the exterior door. They're awesome. I can't tell you how many times I've had to call on somebody that had one of those to use them.
well, any time you go to a
Especially
large
in high
group,
school.
Me, I don't
where
want
there's
myself
a
out
lot
of
of
the car.
people in a rural area, you're going to have somebody, even with the remote key fobs, somebody's going to lock their keys in their car. And I opened 3 doors that day, one after another. So it's things like that. I'm expecting you're the only person who has the answer.
Brings me to another. Okay, only person that has an answer brings me to another topic. Great stocking stuffer, compact first aid kits,
Yeah,
pocket first aid kits. I mean,
absolutely.
you don't need much. You can makeshift a bandage, just about anything, but something to clean it and something to stop the bleeding. Fantastic. I
It
carry
provides some
medical
comfort.
kits with me everywhere I go. I've always got a nice kit in my car. Right now I've got 2 kits in my car, just because I have extra space. Let's slide another one in there. Actually, and then my bug out bag, which has another kit in it. So technically I've got 3 different kits in my car. But when I go camping, like with scouts, I'll tell you, the last scout camp out I went on, I had 6 doctors there. Of those 6 doctors, 0 of them had a first aid kit.
No way.
That's
And I was blown away. And you've seen the big kit that we have.
Oh yeah.
We have this big kit from My Medic, and it's just called the Medic. It's their biggest kit, and it has
That's where
everything.
I went. You took it.
There's 2 of them.
Oh.
Your mom's got my other one. Well, I shouldn't say my other one. It's PrepperCon. But so I take this with me when I go on scout camps, and I was blown away. I mean, it's got suturing systems. It's got blood clots. Like if somebody actually accidentally gets shot,
Tourniquets.
I've got Celox. I've got tourniquets. I've got anything and everything. It's a portable trauma center, basically. I've got tarps. I've got everything in there. And
Yeah,
I
you
used
pick
it
up
twice. Minor little things, but everyone's blown away when I pulled it out. They're like, "That thing's huge." I'm like, "Yeah,
Well,
but
anytime, especially
you
when
never
you're in a rural place like that. And I always tell my students, I teach concealed weapon classes here in Utah and in California. And, I always have a trauma kit, a trauma shooting kit. So
Agreed.
it just has a tourniquet, maybe some quick clot to stop bleeding, and that's about it. But if you carry CCW, you carry a gun with you, should have something like that accessible. It doesn't have to be on your person, but you should have it in your vehicle. You should have it nearby.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've argued that point as well, is that if you're going to carry, you need to be responsible for if you have to pull the trigger.
absolutely." And we're going to get
Anyway.
into that a little deeper at the end of the hour
That's
too,
true.
as a sneak preview for January 13th, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah. So we can talk more about knives, but
Okay,
should we step on to the next?
jump to the next one.
Okay. What I've got in my hand here is a Grundig M400. It's a little radio, AM/FM shortwave 1 and 2. As you know, in emergency, communication is very important, and not just two-way communication, but for you to know what's going on, maybe to receive any kind of instructions, any kind of directions. To have a two-way radio is fantastic, but just to have a receiver. And this is only about $25-$30.
And you can get all kinds of different types. Like this one's battery powered, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Right? Can you charge it in?
This is
Like
also
direct
rechargeable as well.
Okay. I also highly recommend the ones that you can hand crank,
Yep.
keep the juices going. So if there is a power outage situation, you maybe can't go to the store to buy another battery, you can hand crank. I love those. I've got 2 of those in my car. Well, one of those in my car, one in my wife's car. But those are great as well. Ben, what do you think on radio Anything to add?
I've got like half a dozen of them. I'm a ham operator as
Yeah.
well.
Yep.
You know, so I've got two-way communication to get out.
Call sign.
You know, to various repeaters and get a message out. But yeah, I wouldn't go overboard with radios. In a major disaster, even your you know, commercial broadcasters are probably going to be off the air for a while. But if you need to know what's going on and the city's on lockdown and things like that, you need at least one good radio.
Absolutely.
You know,
This one
so-
stays in my my EDC bag, you know, so I always have it with me for, you know, small
Awesome.
way for my vehicle or whatever. So thus the small compact size of that grounding amplifier.
Sure, it's a great gift.
Well, we're coming into our third block. Thank you guys for listening. We're at AM 630 K-Talk Radio. You can find us online, Facebook, K-Talk Media, Twitter, K-Talk Media,
And soon Periscope.
soon on Periscope. Ben's going to broadcast this last little section. So you can also find us at PrepperCon.com and PreparedGuide.com. Thanks for listening. We'll be right back. All right. We are back. Hey, thanks for hanging in there with us and listening into our sponsors. You know, we want to thank our sponsors. Could not be doing this without them. Could not be doing this without K-Talk. Again, you're listening to PrepperCon Radio on K-Talk AM 630. We're talking right now, still, kind of last minute Christmas items, prepper gifts. I want to wrap that out before we jump into some fun gun talk. The last few things on my list are really simple. I threw in there hostage escape card, which you can get from our buddies over at Ready Man.
Yep.
It's a lockpick set, but they also have a survival card. And these are credit card size gifts you can throw in any wallet. And then also a Mylar blanket. You cannot go wrong.
Yeah.
They're great to
You
have.
never have too many of those either.
No. I mean, last time I pulled those out of my bag, I ended up using about 4 of them. And so I always have about 4 to 6 in my car at all times.
You only use them once.
Yeah, they're maybe 2 times use, but
Yeah.
really,
And
they're
they're
a
so
buck.
inexpensive, you use them and then you pull it.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
What have you got, Shane?
On my list, a few other items. A box of ammo. I'd love to give a box of ammo.
Can you fit a box of ammo in a stocking?
I can fit a box of ammo in a stocking.
All right.
You know, pretty soon in California, I keep bringing this up, we're going to have licenses to buy ammunition.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Probably.
So, for those of you just joining now, Periscope, we're on, if you go to Ben Hansen 00, I have some Periscopers who joined us in here.
Awesome.
If you know what Periscope is, we're broadcasting from inside the studio.
So you can actually see and hear what's going on.
I'm downloading the app as we speak.
All right, we can take questions from Periscope, guys. If you have any questions, this is PrepperCon Radio, and we're talking survival gear and gifts for stocking stuffers.
So I like that you brought up, ammo. I mean, it's about $10 to $20, depending on what kind you're
$15
buying.
for a box of 9.
Yeah.
Around there.
And they're great. They will fit in a stocking. As soon as you said a box, I started thinking a case, and I'm like, a case of ammo. I got
Well,
excited.
I would love to get that stocking.
I've got a lot of those, and my wife's like, where are we going to put those? Because we're moving soon. And she's like, where are we going to put those? I'm like, oh, I've got a room for this.
Oh, yes.
And she's just like, oh, boy. We're excited. We're actually closing on a house at the end of January. And for me, it's like the perfect prepper house because I actually have a storage room.
Yeah.
Not just a storage room, but I have a storage room and a cold storage room.
Full concrete.
So I've got 2 rooms. I'm like, this is awesome. My wife's like, do not fill those right away.
And room for the entire extended family.
Absolutely. So,
And then one last thing. Well, I could have a long list, but another thing that I would love to give at Christmas, a 1-ounce silver coin
there you go.
or a silver round. Just
You can get those for about $16 right now.
Yep.
Nice.
To 18, for American Eagle. It helps create awareness. You're giving real wealth when you give precious metals.
And when the economy tanks, what happens to the price of
So
silver?
it's going to go through the roof. Of
Skyrocket.
course, we could do a whole program talking about silver and gold and precious metals.
We should probably do that in January.
Yeah,
That'd be a good topic.
I'm happy to.
Begin the new year with some new money.
Maybe on our Thrive
Some
weekend.
old cash. There we go.
Okay.
Weekend.
cool.
We don't do weekend broadcasts.
Thrive,
Where are
Thrive
you?
Week.
We're not on vacation yet, Shane.
I'm
right.
already on vacation. If you can't already tell.
Hey, everyone, thanks for listening. We want to talk for the next little bit. We want to bring in Ben's expertise. Ben is, he teaches handgun
And he's a
safety.
Sci-Fi.
He's an
nut.
instructor. He's also a geek when it comes to guns. Whenever I don't know something about guns, the 2 people I call are Shane and Ben. So I'm lucky because I've got them both in studio right now. Ben, give us a little more background on your experience with guns. I mean, I know you were FBI for a little while. You've been in law enforcement, in and out of it and around it, and you've done some private security, if I remember right. And you.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to bore people with all that, but
I do.
basically, we're going to be in a couple weeks here. What we want to do with PrepperCon Radio is take a week and talk about getting you beyond your basic training. So why do I need more training? What are some things to consider? For those of you who don't have a concealed weapon permit, maybe you're thinking of getting one. A lot of people want the scenario-based answers to things. I get a lot of people in my classes when I teach down in California that, what do I do if this happens? You know, guy pulls a knife on me in this situation, and blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of difficult to do this without being in person, but we're going to walk you through it on the radio and talk about the legalities, okay, for here in Utah, because Utah has some really great laws. I tell people in California, guys, when I'm teaching in California, they are just so grateful that they can even apply for a concealed weapon permit in some of these counties. And Utah, the legislature here goes out of their way to create laws to protect you as a gun rights or as a gun owner, so that the government doesn't usurp that too much. And so we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about some laws that most people are not very familiar with. And we'll be talking about active shooter situations, also defensive habitation. So as most people understand, when you're in your home, you have enhanced rights to protect you and your loved ones, as opposed to encountering an attacker in public on the street. So what do you need to have? What do you need to be able to articulate in a legal situation to use deadly force?
So basically, we're going to be talking about, I'm going to restate this a little bit, we're going to be talking about what you can and can't do, what scenarios you'll find yourself in, and how to respond within the law.
Correct.
Right?
No, I'm not a lawyer. I offer advice because I think I know the law pretty well inside and out, both here in Utah and in California, because I teach Orange County Sheriff's concealed weapon permit down there, Ventura County, and Utah courses, which still everyone outside of Utah wants the Utah permit. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there are more people that are non-residents of Utah that have the permit than actual Utahns.
Because of the reciprocity?
Because of the reciprocity. Same thing with Arizona. And it's great because the laws that protect you here.
So how many states are reciprocal with Utah?
At last
Probably
count,
map,
it depends if you're a resident or not. I believe it's 37, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. So Virginia just dropped about 25 states.
I saw that.
Utah's still on it. We lost Minnesota this year. Utah was dropped from Minnesota's list, but we gained Maine. Maine is now constitutional
That's
carry.
awesome.
And we gained Nevada back if you have Arizona's permit. So you don't have to go down to Nevada to get your license there. Just get Arizona's.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And actually, it's funny because I lived in California. For those of you who don't know the backstory, Ben and I are actually relatives now because I married his little sister. I've known Ben, going on 6, maybe 7 years now. We traveled in similar circles in California. I met him. I saw him on Scifi's Fact or Fake, and I was like, oh, cool, I know that guy. And then when I was living in California, I wanted to get back into guns, and I was excited, and the process was so hard. I was like, man, this isn't worth it. Well, then somehow I ended up meeting his sister, falling for her, which wasn't hard at all. She's awesome. And then after we got married, I was like, okay, I really want to get a concealed weapons permit. I really want to get this done. And my wife was a little reluctant at first, but she's like, you know what? Okay, my whole family's into this stuff. That's cool. And so Ben was actually my concealed weapons permit instructor.
Oh, I was.
Yeah.
I forgot that.
Yeah. So I got my Utah license and my Arizona license through him. And it's interesting. You hear the term concealed weapons permit. You also hear the term CCW. And it's basically for all intents and purposes, it's the same thing.
Or CFP,
Or
concealed
CFP.
carry permit.
Depends on
It's
the
all
state.
the same thing, and just depends on what state you're in, and in the case of California, what county you're in,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
as to whether you're going to get approved or not. So, one thing I'd like to add here is that I don't mean to kind of denigrate Utah, because I'm a Utahn. I grew up here, but you guys, come on.
Watch it.
We really need to infuse some type of responsibility to get beyond the basic training here. A lot of people think just because you grew up with guns, you're familiar with them,
Right.
that I don't need to know anything else. I don't even need to take this
Absolutely.
class. Now, I feel mixed about being required, by law to
Right,
take a
right.
class or not, but look, it is your responsibility. This is a perishable skill, and now we're being faced with things such as like the active shooter situations.
This is something Scott and we talk about on a regular basis. So what's your feeling about constitutional carry, where essentially you don't have to take a concealed carry and get any kind
Well,
of training?
I have mixed feelings, like I said. We can get into that in a few weeks here, but I do believe it's a right. But at the same time, there are too many wackos out there who shouldn't be carrying. And frankly, it's not much that the states ask for you to take a class. That's how I feel on it.
Well, I think it's just common sense. I don't care how you grew up. If you grew up with guns or without, it is common sense to get training. I think, for example, the Utah Hunter Safety course. If you want to go hunting, you have to take this course, unless you were born before 1965. I don't know why that's so great or important, but I think everyone should have that opportunity, needs that opportunity to train, and they go over the laws and the regulations, they go over safe practice, and then you get range time. And it's the funniest thing because I see people, I follow a lot of groups that are like gun trader Facebook pages and stuff like that, and so many times I see people like, oh yeah, I'm selling this gun and it has less than 50 rounds through it. And I'm like, okay. And that seems to be the magical number all across the board. Everyone's selling a gun. They've had it for 10 years. It's only had 50 rounds through it. And I'm like, do you train? Do you practice? Because if you do, that should have well more than that. Yearly, every quarter you should have at least 50 rounds through your gun. It's not going to wear it out that fast. They're built to take thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds. And so I love the idea that people should take, an active approach in their own personal self-defense and protection by taking additional courses.
And when you're taking gun classes, as I always tell my students, half of gun fighting doesn't involve the gun at all. And that's why we use these training guns and holsters where we'll take people out and we'll do scenarios. But as you get into a class, you realize the distance that you're at determines whether you go for the gun first or have to use open-handed tactics. And now we're faced with things like the active shooter situations, where your first instinct should be to run and to get cover, before you can go for that gun. So anyways, we'll be getting into a lot of this stuff. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll take some calls, and it'll be a couple weeks.
All right.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
And that also brings up, before we cut out, that also brings up PrepperCon. This year at PrepperCon, we're going to have some laser simulations. We're going to have some simunition simulations, some actual walking through a simulated home to practice, to learn, and you'll be trained by experts. So make sure you make it out for that. Check out PrepperCon.com for more details. Thanks for being with us, and Merry
for coming,
Christmas.
Ben.
You're welcome.